On Thursday, an assault rifle wielding maniac attempted to attack the FBI headquarters building in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, the gunman, who has now been identified as 42-year-old Ricky Schiffer, had failed to gain entry proper into the building. Schiffer then led police on a chase before getting into a shootout in a cornfield where officers, of course, ended up fatally shooting him. This is after, again, a standoff that was quite a few hours. So now I talked about this when it had first happened, before all of this had really ended, while there were still, having the shootout in the cornfield, and there wasn't a lot of details. And I said, look, I wouldn't be surprised if this turned out to be a Trump supporter, a MAGA person who was angry at the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. And now we know that was the case. In fact, Schiffer, according to multiple outlets, multiple reports, was a ardent Trump supporter, a prolific poster on Truth Social, which is Donald Trump's social media outlet. And you're not going to be surprised that a lot of the messages that were posted there alluded to violence and were filled with conspiracies. So now he wrote a total of 374 messages just in the past 8 days, mostly to talk about, of course, the big lie, election fraud, and in the hours after the FBI searched Trump's Florida home, called for an all-out war. Now, look, I showed you guys a video of people like Steve Bannon calling this a war, and this person is echoing all of that. In fact, on Monday, he told his, tens of followers that he was, quote unquote, ready for combat. Now, in case I wasn't clear, because you can engage in, political combat, of course. No, his messages made very clear his intention before he had attacked the FBI building. In fact, his messages included, quote, be ready to kill the enemy. Kill the FBI on sight. There's more. According to the Washington Post, a review of Schiffer's account on Truth Social and his activity showed that he had posted dozens of times a day to the site, so very addicted to social media, replying to pro-Trump influencers attacking the government and suggesting that violence was the most important way true Trump believers could defend the former president. Similar messages, of course, unfortunately, are common on that site, including from Trump himself. In May, for example, Trump reposted, or retruthed, I guess, a message from another user that simply read, quote, civil war. So they're very hungry for civil war. They are hungry for it. They want this conflict. And so they go out and they try to make it happen. And people get hurt. It's horrible. And in the case of the FBI building, nobody got hurt except for the person who tried to hurt others. Now, again, Schiffer, like I mentioned, there's always a lot of violent rhetoric on the right wing. Not all of it's explicit. Okay. But this was. In fact, he urged Trump followers to stock up on bullets and have their hearts, minds, and bodies ready to jump into civil war. And he certainly did himself. On August 8th, the day of the search, he posted, quote, people, this is it. This is your call to arms from me. Leave work tomorrow as soon as the gun shop opens. Get whatever you need to be ready for combat. We must not tolerate this once. The following day, he posted this. Patriots are heading to Palm Beach, and that, if the feds try to break it up, kill them. And then said, damn straight insurrection against the people who usurped our government. He wrote in a separate post, I hope to see you there. I won't be unarmed this time. And of course, nobody really took it seriously, even though people were there to see it. Now, after announcing his call to arms, for example, on Tuesday, another user asked if he was proposing terrorism. You're not going to be a terrorist, are you? To which he replied, no, I'm proposing war. Saying, Be ready to kill the enemy, not mass shootings where leftists go, not lighting buses on fire with transsexuals in them, not finding people with leftist signs in their yards and beating them up. Violence is not all terrorism. Kill the FBI on sight and be ready to take down other active enemies of the people and those who try to prevent you from doing it. Now, his last post on August 11th, the day police said he tried to breach the FBI office, he posted this. Well, I thought I had a way through the bulletproof glass, and I didn't. If you don't hear from me, it is true. I tried attacking the FBI, and it'll mean either I was taken off the internet, the FBI got me, or they sent regular cops. Wow. And then, well, it ended abruptly, as you could see. The guy was retruthing, likely during the shootout or afterwards. I mean, and by the way, you know, talking about the standoff, right? The police had tried to negotiate with him to get him to surrender. They tried all these non-lethal tactics for hours. And then it failed. He raised his weapon, pointed it at cops, and the cops returned fire. In fact, Ohio State Patrol Lieutenant Nathan Dennis told everyone in a press briefing that hours of non-lethal tactics failed before he was gunned down. And so, look, could you imagine getting yourself killed for Trump? I mean, ridiculous. The guy wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. But I'm not just saying Trump. I wouldn't get myself killed for Bernie Sanders. Are you kidding me? No. That's ridiculous. No. There are ways that you can, you know, affect political change without death, without, you know, violence. These guys don't believe that. They think that their only option left is to pick up their guns. And a lot of that, again, is the very stuff that you hear from right-wing pundits all the time. Oh, you better get your guns. They're coming for you. Second Amendment solutions. Donald Trump himself said that. They're egging on and encouraging this violence. And it's disgusting. And again, this guy was lied into throwing away his life for no reason. That in itself, the fact that somebody has enough power to encourage someone to go and do violence is scary as hell. But it's not like there weren't signs that this guy was going to be violent. In fact, again, one of his accounts on Twitter implied that he was already there on January 6th when there was another rash of violence. And of course, that same account openly talked about it, as well as, again, repeating every different conspiracy spread by the far right. And so, look, he also, by the way, in a reply to a tweet from Representative Marjorie Greene, had said this. I know they're trying 1984, but I'm feeling 2016. Congresswoman Greene, they got away with fixing elections in plain sight. It's over. The next step is the one we used in 1775. That of course, that account no longer exists. It's been suspended. As I'm sure the truths were also removed from Truth Social. And so, look, there's that. Now, in another reply to a post about COVID, he wrote, under no circumstances comply. We didn't get this country through peaceful compliance or peaceful protest. Again, talking about violence. In another, he said he was ready for war against the communists who, quote, chemically neuter he didn't spell that right, but said prepubescent children and call it gender transitioning. So he's anti-trans, of course, and ended the post by saying, save ammunition. So again, this is a very violent person who bought into every conspiracy Trump endorsed and the far right. And again, That's what you hear from right-wing media figures. He heard it, and he got the message loud and clear. He said, okay, I guess it's time for violence now. I'm telling you now, this is the fault of right-wing media. This is the fault of all the people that are out there selling fear and anger and rage to the population, along with lies. That's what they do nonstop. These are not conservatives anymore. The Republican Party has been captured by an absolute lunatic, a sociopath who doesn't care about anything other than himself. He has turned the Republican Party into a cult, and the media has vastly helped in that regard. It's not conservatism. It's madness. It's fascism, and it has to stop.